Nathan Baird with cleveland.com. Nathan?
Hey, Erin, I know that you've only been there for a couple of months, but I'm curious what you've seen in that time that has given you some insight into why this Ohio State recruiting machine has been so successful. Anything that you see that they do differently or do better, and what has sort of just struck you about how they go about this and has impressed you?
That's a great question. I would say that Ohio State is very all the coaches are involved with every recruit. So it's not just the position coach, it could be the area coach as well as another coach that's also involved in recruiting a kid or building that relationship. We focus heavy on the families as well, which I think is I'm not going to say unique, but it's very different from what I'm used to. And I think, Coach Day, he says, tough love, and you're going to fight to be the best version of yourself. And, when we talk to these parents, it is that is the atmosphere that Ohio State has. And so it's not a pitch, it's what the atmosphere is and what they're going to walk into. And I think that's the difference between other universities that I've been to, is what we're telling these kids is what they're going to get.
Move on to Mark Givler with Buckeye Scoop. Mark?
Hey, Mark. Just curious, are you seeing or are you feeling an added importance to these visits because you're not getting the unofficial visit you might normally get leading up to the official? So you've had this kind of chaotic recruiting process here the last 12 to 18 months. So is that kind of upping the ante here a little bit? Because with some of these kids from from Texas or California or something, it's a one and done opportunity for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I've brought it up to our coaches, it's kind of like we're putting all our chips in right now in the month of June, because a lot of these guys, we may never get back before December signing period. So that's a long time to go. And that impression may lose a lot of its luster. And a lot of the top guys we're going after right now, these next 4 weeks, they're going to be taking visits every weekend. And so, for a top guy who may be visiting this first weekend and then going on 3 more trips after, is that feeling of Ohio State still going to last? Because obviously the red carpet's going to be rolled out everywhere. So we just have to do a great job. And then after the visit, we just have to do a great job staying in touch. And, hopefully for some of these kids, I think the attraction of coming unofficially for a game will be there. So hopefully we can make that work in a lot of these cases.
Just want to let everyone know, anyone who's come on late, we are recording this, and so if anyone missed any portion of this, shoot me an email afterwards, and I'll send you a link, and you can download this. We're going to move on to Joseph Hastings with Rivals.com, Buckeye Grove. Joseph?
Hey, Mark, I just wanted to ask, with it being well over a year since you were able to host prospects on campus, how important was it for you all, the staff, to make a splash that first weekend and make a strong first impression on some of those top targets that you'll be welcoming into campus?
Yeah, what we hoped is just to set the bar. So when these kids go to other schools, it's like they know what Ohio State was, and this is going to be we want them to think this is going to be really hard to top. And, Coach Day has been very involved and with a lot of input, which is awesome. And we have an outstanding plan for the first weekend. And we think, hopefully, cross our fingers, we have some decent weather. And thank goodness it's not this weekend with, 52 tomorrow. So we've got a great plan. We're just going to execute it the best we can. And we expect nothing but the best. So we're excited.
Thank you.
Next up, Bill Landis with The Athletic. Bill?
Hi, Mark. I'm wondering how knowing that this was coming, the fact that things are going to open back up, might have impacted how you all kind of stacked your prospect board, and whether or not there are more guys there now that maybe there typically would be going into a June, and how open you are to the idea that board can be really shaken up depending on what you see in the next month.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fluid with these kids making a lot of these visits now. So you're condensing a 1 or 2 year process now into 1 month for some of these kids. So yes, the board is much bigger than what it typically would be, just because there's so many unknowns, I think, with never seeing these kids in person physically, or knowing what their personality is other than, on Zoom. So I think whenever a kid visits our campus, it's almost like a job interview for them. So we'll see how they do around us, and some will be very impressionable. Some we may lower because it's just not great interaction or not what we thought. So it's going to be an exciting and crazy month, but it definitely will help us shape the board going into the fall.
And on the idea of these guys being impressionable, like they're going to be on college campuses for the first time in like 2 years, and I don't know, maybe the first thing they see they're going to be wowed by, and maybe they'll want to commit right away, right? Because I think they're excited to be on campus, just like you guys are excited to host them. Like, how do you kind of manage that? Not, I don't know, letting that excitement kind of roll over into kids making decisions quicker than maybe they should.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's a good problem for us, but no, it's just one of those things where for any commit, we just explain that commitment is final. We don't want it to be just a holding place and just where you're going to go visit other schools afterwards. So it's just good communication with the family and the kid and understand what that means. And Coach Day does a great job with that. So
Move on to Tom Van Aaron with ESPN. Tom?
Hey, Mark. I was curious. I know this obviously this class is important, the 2022 kids, but the time that you've lost, you can't really get that back. How do you balance this class with trying to catch up with the 2023 class and the underclassmen and make sure you don't lose that time with them as well? Is there a bigger emphasis on the underclassmen than you'd usually have?
Well, what we've tried to encourage is trying to get the 2023s on campus during the week rather than on the weekends with the official visits, just so, like you said, it's just we don't lose focus and lose the attention on them as well. So a lot of those kids are going to come during the week, come for camps to where we'll have a great plan for them and get great evaluations and show them a great visit. Erin, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that as well.
Oh, that was great.
All right, I think everyone whose hands had been raised, we've got to. So we're gonna open up this rock concert to the festival seating portion. So just if anyone else has a question, just go ahead and fire away, and I'll do the best to moderate here. So if you have another question, go ahead and please ask.
I'll ask if nobody else wants to jump in. Mark, how much more difficult has evaluating players been, considering that so many players didn't play last year, so much of the normal evaluation process you couldn't have?
Most of them did play. It was actually kind of cool in a way because like North Carolina, California, they didn't play until the spring. So in a way, it did spread things out to where in the fall didn't have to watch the same volume of games because it carried over to the spring, and it was kind of cool in the way that it gave us something to do in the spring of watching fresh film. So that was kind of exciting as well. But evaluation process has still been the same. Most of the kids did play. There's only a few that did not, which makes it really hard. If there's no film on a guy, especially like sophomores in high school, if they don't have any sophomore film, and you see them getting all these offers, it's kind of crazy. But we just do things our way, try to ignore the noise and social media and everything else.
Mark, talking about social media and everything else, this name, image, likeness era, you've replaced Tori with Erin, but now you have to replace Zach and Chris and a couple other pieces that are key pieces of not just the recruiting department, but the entire football program. How are you gearing towards that? What is the plan, I guess, for you guys to replace those pieces that are very key for you that maybe aren't publicly, known commodities?
Yeah, so Zach and Chris were both tremendous. They were elite at what they did. We've actually just replaced them. Addison Skaggs is replacing Zach. She's coming in from Baylor. She was highly recommended by Matt Rule. And as soon as we met with her on Zoom, she blew us away, and she blew Coach Day away. She's only 24 years old. She's very young, but she's got great leadership and she's got great vision. And then we just hired CJ Campbell to replace Chris. Addison started yesterday. That was her first day. Chris is moving in this weekend. CJ's coming from Nebraska. So we're excited what they're going to bring. They understand how phenomenal. Zach and Chris were at their jobs, but they're hungry, they're young, they're excited. And we still have Juan Reyes and Corey Wonderly, and we're going to hire one more still for the creative team. So hopefully next week going forward, we're back to normal, and we'll get things cranking back on social media.
Mark, as far as the one-time transfer rule is concerned, how much does that impact how you guys approach a class in the sense of, will you guys take less people in the name of maybe leaving some room open for guys that you feel like might be in the transfer portal and stuff like that?
No, we'll still go about as business as is, because there's just natural attrition every year. There's always guys, something happens you never expect. Maybe one spot, maybe two, but we're not going to try to just purposely leave spots just because there's always going to be that natural attrition.
Hey, Erin, can you were asked about coming to Ohio State, but what brought you into or gave you interest in the recruiting field in general? Why did you choose this path?
I received my master's at LSU, and I was granted the opportunity to work for that football program. And I actually started in football operations, and I liked the operations side, but what attracted me to recruiting was building the relationships and seeing these young student athletes progress in their career as I'm with these programs.